Hi everyone. Uh Robert couldn't join us today because he got a call from Happy, had to go to Berlin, help Doctor Strange with something.
Happy Hogan.
Yes. So I'm Peter. Uh I actually know a lot about football, surprisingly, since I talked to Tony Stark about it all those years ago. Uh Joined by Snoopy's campaign manager for
That's right.
Halloween. How are you doing? How is Snoopy's presidential campaign?
He's doing well. Election day is in 2 days, actually. So,
2 days.
yeah, it's November 2nd, Tuesday. So, cast your ballots for Snoopy.
Who is he going up against?
Uh, the Sensory Network on television.
Oh,
I don't
the
know.
Sensory Network on television.
It's really funny. I have this other shirt that says Snoopy for president. A little context there, and I was wearing it like probably a year ago when my sister and her boyfriend were here for Christmas, and he's like, "Who's Snoopy running against?" And I just like hit a brick wall. I was like, "I
The
don't know,
Sensory
actually."
Network.
I never thought of that, but yeah.
Just kidding. I am Robert, as always, joined by Shane. We are dressed up for Halloween.
You mean Robert is Spider-Man? No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm not. I am not Peter Parker. But
That'd be
for
cool.
today, we have decided to have a little fun. Although Shane's just wearing a T-shirt,
I
which
know. I
works
forgot.
honestly. But we are going to stick with our costumes for the entire show, just to make you all laugh, have a good time, as we talk some football. We do need to take a picture of this and put it on social media. It'd be really funny to just write talking football with Spider-Man and Snoopy's campaign manager. That would get some viewership. All right, let's start with the Cowboys and the Vikings. Cooper Rush had a nice day, but honestly, I think the bigger question is, where was this Vikings offense? I mean, they were non-existent throughout this entire game.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise, but then again, I mean, it's Dallas's defense has been doing pretty well. I think to many people's surprise, certainly mine. um, but still, I mean, Minnesota, they've got one of the, I would say, a top 10 offense in the league. So regardless of a defense, I think we always expect them to kind of do well, but it doesn't always happen.
I
Glasses
can't.
over the suit.
I
Golly.
can't see.
But but
All right, continue.
anyways, so you know, here I'll be baby driver. I got the sunglasses and the earbud. But anyways, yeah. So when teams have a good offense like that, we just kind of expect them to do well. But that obviously wasn't really the case today, and obviously it doesn't happen every time. I think I was really impressed with the Cowboys' rush defense. They're Cook and Madison are a great 1-2 punch. I don't think they're quite as good as like Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, at least this year. But they're
Not in
still
general, no.
probably a top 5 running back duo.
No, 100%. And they're using him as a duo, which is helping Zeke not get hurt and put
Yeah,
too much leverage on him. Yeah.
a lot of teams are doing that too. I mean, with both of those
Yep.
teams,
Both
not
of
as
those
much
teams,
Minnesota, but
Cleveland, the Niners have done it for years.
Green Bay.
Green Bay is doing it.
They're almost running AJ Dillon more, actually.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah, but
Hurting us in fantasy in some ways, but
I mean, it works for him, so
no.
But yeah. So, I mean, I would have hoped for, you know, a few more points than 20 for for Dallas. um, but it's a backup quarterback, kind of thrown at the last minute. You know, I think all things considered, it could have gone a lot worse.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think Cooper had an amazing game. Let's not overreact. Like, we'll get to Mike White later. I honestly don't think that any of these backup quarterbacks played phenomenally today. But I think they played fair. I think they played well enough to get their teams to win, which all three of them did today. Cooper
Yeah.
Rush, 24 of 40, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. I mean, in all honesty,
That's all right.
in all honesty, like it's fine, but I mean, come on. Did you see the amount of separation that CD Lamb had today? That was ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
the Vikings defense gave Cooper Rush, honestly, all the open areas he could have, and he just took them.
I mean, especially when you have such a when you have an offense like Dallas that's that complete, I mean, they have two great running backs, three really good receivers, uh, uh, I guess average tight end,
Yeah.
and an above average offensive line. You put all those factors together. I mean, I think it's kind of hard for even a backup quarterback to mess that up. Which, of course, last year they obviously didn't do amazing
With Ben DiNucci and Andy freaking Dalton.
Yes. Um, Yikes. But anyways, so that's that. But they got the win, so they advanced to 6-1. Um, and I mean that's the thing about like Minnesota. Even if they lose, they are competitive.
They've been competitive in every game. I think that the main difference for me was I was expecting the Vikings offense to actually show out in this game. Like, this is a game. You're playing a backup quarterback. I know we kind of overreact to that value, right? Of like, oh, you're playing a backup quarterback, just sling it. Not exactly. This is the NFL at the end of the day. But I think
Right.
ultimately, when you look at this matchup, if you're Minnesota and you've been so offensively prolific, you're coming in on Sunday night, you got to show that. And they didn't tonight. And now, if you're Minnesota, you're like, okay, is this just Kirk Cousins being ridiculous on primetime games again? And honestly, that's kind of what it felt like. But this game was boring. Like how they were at points like what 0 for 10 on third down in the second half. At a point, like what
Something.
the heck? Like it's both offenses. Let's be honest, didn't play very well. They just kind of were dink and dunking. But I think the real question with Minnesota is this team, even with Kurt playing well as he has over the whole season so far, it's still Dalvin Cook's team. Like if Dalvin has a bad game or Alexander Madison, when he starts, has a bad game, Kurt just can't rebound from that for some reason.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, Kirk is, I think he's a good enough game manager, but he's not the guy to make the clutch play. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest drawback I have of him as opposed to a guy like Derek Carr, right? He's very similar. He's a very similar kind of player to Derek Carr, right? Except Carr, I feel like, can put his team on his back and drive them down the field and win. Whereas with Kirk, it's like, I don't know. I don't know that I trust you to do that, Or I mean, even like even like Brady. I mean, obviously he's miles ahead of both of them, but he's still that kind of that game manager, pocket passer type of player. And, so and I mean, look at what he does, right? So, yeah.
I think the bigger question is, who do you trust in big games where everyone's watching? Do you trust Derek Carr or do you trust Kirk Cousins?
Carr.
And I think it's easily Carr.
Yeah.
Not only this night included, but his whole career. I think that honestly was part of a factor of this game that we need to consider.
Yeah.
But Dallas, I mean, come on. You're 6-1 and you won a game with a backup quarterback who hasn't played a snap for you in 4 years. You've got to feel really good. This is still a Super Bowl contender easily.
Yeah, I'd say so. Which I never thought I would say that this season, but here we are.
I'm sorry, I never thought I would say that in my lifetime. Honestly, like
with Jerry Jones as the owner, that's for sure.
No. Let's talk about Tom Brady. That was probably the worst final drives of his career, which is pretty amazing, to say the least.
Of how him there, didn't I?
Did you jinx him?
Well, I don't know. I was just talking about how great he is at fourth quarter comebacks.
And
And
then it
here
wasn't
today.
that today.
Yikes.
Oh wait, just for the record, this is not the suit. This is just the mask.
You shouldn't have said that.
No, I'm gonna be honest.
Now it breaks the illusion.
I'm not Mysterio. I'm not gonna do all this illusion stuff.
Unbelievable.
I'm not gonna be no. This is literally just the mask because the suit is $50. That's too much money for a suit that I'm only gonna wear once a year. It's not worth it.
You can always return it.
No, actually, what's funny, we didn't go to Party City. We went to this thing called the Party Store. My mom said it was Party City, and I'm like, no, this is the Party Store. That's different.
What's the difference?
It's that the store is like pretty small, but they're final returns. So you can't actually, the sale is final. You cannot return it, which makes sense because you could buy something like this, and then return it. Then what's the point?
Yeah,
it's just not.
A lot of people would probably do that.
Yeah, because then you're only wearing it for one day. No, but I mean, Brady didn't have a good game overall in this one. Like, let's be honest. And the final drive was kind of indicative of that. But he's the Saints somehow in his career, but especially with Tampa, like they just seem to have his number more than any other franchise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, New Orleans has a good defense. I mean, they just do. Like, they're not. Yeah, I mean, they're not the defense they were like a year or two ago, but they're still competitive for sure. And I mean, division rivalries tend to be tough for guys. And he's been playing incredibly well all season. I mean, he's been having one of his best years, And it's like the guy's 44. Yeah, he's going to have a game like this. Obviously. I mean, every
quarterback, but
every
especially
great
guys who are
quarterback does.
44.
Yeah, whether you're 44, 34, 4 years
56.
old, I don't know. Yeah, 56. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, it doesn't worry me too much because we've also been saying all year it's like Tampa, we don't really care that much about them in the regular season because, look at last season and what they did there. And, you could say, oh, well, that was last season. It's like, yes, but it's literally the exact same team.
Right.
Every single starter,
But as I talked about last week, right? I said that, hey, like they have a good offense. They have a very dynamic offense. We talked about this last week. And we watched the Saints on Monday night. Like what we saw the Saints on Monday night against the Seahawks is literally what the Saints are. And obviously what they're going to be with Jameis being out for the year. I mean, is Taysom Hill really that much of an upgrade?
Oh, is it out for the year?
Torn ACL and a partially teared MCL.
Ooh. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's that big of a difference between those two. Okay, let me rephrase that. There's a huge difference between between Jameis and Taysom in the way they play. Okay, but in terms of actual productivity and skill, I mean they're kind of even. I think. You know, Taysom is not as good of a passer, which is strange considering James is like the 33 interception guy. But
the 30-30 guy.
The 30-30 guy, yeah. But with Taysom, I mean, you get the rushing component, so I don't know. It's hell, put Drew Brees back in there. I don't know, but
oh, do you see that joke at halftime?
No.
Oh, they were like, Mike Tirico was like, "Hey, did you get a phone call?" And then he's like, "Nope." He looked at his phone. He's like, "Nope, I didn't." And he's like, "Will you bet Navy Notre Dame?" I'm like, "Yeah, I will, and I'll be here on Sunday." So, yeah, don't put Breeze back in there. Okay, his arm is shot. Let him be awesome on NBC for the next decade, please.
I wonder if he is gonna get a call.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't
Probably
think
not,
he'll take it
but
though.
they could.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, for New Orleans, Trevor Siemian also played really well. Didn't take too much stock in that. Um, but man, he's had. I think the biggest thing with Trevor, man, that guy's had a long career for a 7th round pick. Holy crap!
Yeah.
Like really remember watching him in Denver.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Thanks, John Elway, for not knowing how to draft quarterbacks. But hey, Trevor Simeon's a guy who's been in the league for a long time.
I
Uh,
mean, a lot of 7th round guys or even undrafted guys have really long, incredible careers, and then there's guys like, you know,
Trent Richardson, who's a 3rd overall pick playing in the CFL.
yeah, or or Johnny Manziel played what 2 years, and then
He was drinking all the time.
now you'd never heard of him.
I mean, you saw him last year in whatever that weird fan
Oh
controlled football
yeah,
league thing. Was there a
is that,
couple NFL guys for that league too, by the way, this season?
is that still a thing?
It might be. I don't know.
Huh. Well, anyways,
On to the other divisional matchup of the day, the Titans and the Colts.
yeah,
Did you learn anything about these teams? We came on last week and said, or on Monday when they had that big game against the Bills. Actually, no, that was last Sunday when we talked about this. We're like, oh yeah, Titans. We like them. And then today I'm just like, oh my God, we were wrong. Like what are the Titans? But
that's the thing. I
Derrick
don't.
Henry, like what?
Yeah, yeah, that's my thing with the Titans. It's just like, I mean, they're 6-2, so obviously they're doing something right, but I don't know. I mean, they go out and beat the Bills.
And we
It
were
was
like,
close,
okay. We were
but
like,
they beat
okay,
them.
there's something there.
Yeah, and then they
I was
beat the Chiefs,
impressed.
not to anyone's surprise, I don't think.
Nah.
But then it's like, then they are down 24-0 to the Colts after that. It's like, what, really? So, I don't know. It's weird. But I mean, I think it's I think they're one of those teams where it's like there's one particular thing that they do really well, which is running the ball, obviously. But outside of that, it's pretty hit or miss, I think.
Did Julio play today?
No.
Okay. I think that matters somewhat because
He might as well retire. That dude cannot stay healthy.
no, he cannot.
He's been in and out all season.
Sorry, I'm continuing to adjust this mask. No, but even that, like, yeah, I mean, the only connection that worked today for Ryan Tannehill was AJ Brown and Ryan Tannehill. Outside of that, I mean, it's just Derrick Henry running the football. And if we turn over to the Colts side, Carson Wentz cannot stop making bonehead interceptions for his life. He might as well be called the interception king at this point for the season. I don't even think he had the 2 quarterbacks have the most interceptions. I kid you not. By the start of this weekend, were Zach Wilson with 9, and guess who the other quarterback was? We talked about this on Monday.
Mahomes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mahomes and Zach Wilson, and yet obviously Zach Wilson, I'm expecting the interceptions, but Carson Wentz, some of these interceptions are just absolutely boneheaded and are costing them games.
Yeah. I hoped he would have worked on that. And
He's trying to work on staying healthy.
Well, that too. But it's like, dude, come on, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
bad for the guy, honestly, because I know he loves the new team, and he seems like he's just trying to do his best, but it's like, at some point, it's like, okay, come on, let's go, you know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I know that Frank Reich loves him, and I get that, but I don't see that on the field. I don't. I see a guy who's just average, who throws interceptions, who can make mistakes at crucial moments, and at this point in his career is not a franchise quarterback.
To me, he's a slightly more athletic Baker Mayfield.
Even Baker's not athletic with all those injuries.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Let's get to the Browns and Steelers. I don't think we expected much else than this game to be a physical, what would be a mud
It
bath
always
if it was
is.
actually mud, but it was basically just a physical game. The one thing that I hated, and I hated this, they had a fourth and I think it was what, a 4th and 2 at the 20 some yard line.
Was
And
that
they
it?
and they decide to make a okay, first off, you've done like quarterback coaching, you've done offensive stuff, you know this better than anyone. You understand like the flow of how a game is going, right? If a game is going where guys can't score, it's physical, like you're not going to get that many points. You
Yeah.
just know that as an offensive guy. If that's the case, then why the heck would you say, hey, kicker, 4th and 2, let's go for it, and then get you hurt? Kick the field goal, get the points. Like, obviously, it didn't matter at the end of the 15-10 final, but dude, Mike Tomlin, like, no, it's situational football. This is not difficult. This is just not difficult at all.
Right.
Like, if a game is physical and you know you're not going to score and you expected that against the Browns, I mean, come on. That's how you guys play all the time. If that's the case, then why the heck are you not kicking a field goal there? Didn't matter in the end. Your defense balled out, but still.
Yeah. That's, I think with I think with Mike Tomlin, he's not. I've honestly never really cared for him as an offensive / special teams play caller. Which he is a defensive guy, so I guess it makes sense. But still, it's like, you know, like you said, when you're in a close game, that's not a time when you go for it on 4th and 2. And even if you do, you know,
Don't use your gosh dang kicker.
yeah, exactly. The only time you go for that, again, not with the kicker. The only time you do that, is if you're down by like 3 touchdowns or something, and there's a chance you could get back, but
Or
you
you're
got
the
to get it.
Lions.
Well, yes, or if you're searching for kneecaps to bite, um, with the Detroit Lions. God. But no. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I don't understand the call there. And now we're already having such terrible kicking this season for whatever reason.
Oh my God. It's been the worst in what, a decade? Holy
So,
crap.
let's just injure our kicker. Sure. It's like, dude, come on. What are you doing?
What I'm saying is that obviously you didn't inadvertently try to injure his kicker. That's not what I'm trying to say.
No, but the risk is there.
I'm trying to say that in that situation with that type of game, there's no reason to put your kicker at risk. There's just
a
not.
game that is that physical. And I mean, this is the Cleveland Browns, okay? They're number 95, and the Cleveland Browns tried to kill your damn quarterback 2 years ago, okay? Like ripping his helmet off and hitting him in the head. Like they're not they're not going to go down easy on you.
Yeah, like we knew this was going to be the case. Just get points. If you get points, you can win.
Yeah.
I know it's simple, get the most points and win, but in this kind of game, field goals might as well be touchdowns. Like, geez. Like what?
Yep.
Okay. Let's move on to the kneecap Detroit Lions. They have a bye week next week. I'll give you their next 8 weeks, okay?
Okay.
Their next 8 weeks at Steelers.
Whew.
So after the bye, at
God.
Steelers.
Oh boy.
At Browns.
Okay. That's
Thanksgiving morning against the Bears. Might as well sleep in for that. I'm going to wake up for that, but you might as well sleep in for that. 8:30 a.m. Pacific. So at home against the Bears on Thanksgiving.
Okay. Yeah,
At
that's
home
why.
against the Vikings.
Yeah. Okay.
Week 14 at the Broncos. Home against the Cardinals. At Atlanta. At Seattle. And you finish up against the Green Bay Packers at home.
Yikes.
Can we make a significant case that the Detroit Lions will go 0-17?
You know,
Is there any chance they win any of these games?
honestly, I think so. I think they win at least one because this season they have had so many times where they were within 2 or 3 points of beating somebody, but it was just like a last minute thing. One of those has to go in their favor at some point. I mean, come on, this is just sad at this point. Like, it's got to happen, So, yeah, I mean, that would be, uh, I mean, like Chicago on
On
Thanksgiving at
Thanksgiving?
home. I could
Maybe.
maybe see them winning that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But Fields look good today.
Yeah. But Green Bay, Arizona, no.
Even Seattle with Russell Wilson. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, no.
They trounced Jacksonville today in the most boring game ever.
Who who Atlanta, maybe.
Atlanta has a good enough offense to kill Detroit.
Yeah, but that defense is bad. They could do some damage there. But
And that, like, I think the Broncos should beat them. I think the Vikings should beat them. I think the only feasible chance they can win is the Bears on Thanksgiving. Honestly. And even
Goff
that's a
must be
stretch.
so pissed.
Well, he hung up on Sean McVay when he got the trade. So,
Well, I mean, obviously he was at the moment, but I mean, like now that.
do you want me to give you all their scores? Just for
No,
reference.
I think I know most of them.
Do you want to hear how many of them were 10 or less?
Yeah. Or no. How many of them were one possession games? 8 or less?
8 or less. I would say the Niners 41-33. So that was a pretty close game.
Yeah, that's one.
They got blown out by the Packers.
Yeah,
Ravens by 3.
Although the Packers, they were on top after the first half.
That's true.
17-14, I think. But
Ravens was a 3-point game.
Yep.
So 19-17.
That's 2.
Bears was a 10-point game. So they already lost to the Bears this season, 24-14. Lost to the Vikings 19-17.
19-17 again. Both on game-losing field goals.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, one on the nasty Tucker one, and then yeah.
Yes,
and
that's
then
3.
And then Bengals, they got trounced. Rams 28-19. That was actually a pretty close game as we watched.
Closer than it should have been.
Yeah. It was because they just went for it. And then they got trounced by the Eagles today, 44-6. So it was like 2 or 3, yeah.
3, yeah.
Out of 8 weeks. They also lost all their preseason games, so that's fun.
Who cares about that?
I know, but still. Fun fact, they actually haven't won a game at all in the 2021 calendar year. Pretty much. Unless I'm missing January.
All the way back to did they lose week 17 last year?
I don't remember. I'm not gonna look that up. But yeah, I think the Bears is maybe the only feasible one. I love that dude with the bag on his head saying this is not a costume. That's pretty much
It's sad, honestly. It's funny too, because like before the Super Bowl era, Detroit kicked ass, dude. Like they were.
Do you know about
they were a great team.
Do you know about the Detroit curse?
No.
Oh. I should have searched this up before the podcast. I'll try to search it up before the next podcast because they have a bye week, so we might as well talk some more Detroit during their bye week. there was this guy, I think he was one of their quarterbacks. He got traded or something. Something happened. He got traded or cut or something. And he said, the Lions will not have a successful season for the rest of their franchise. And look what's going on.
Have they never since then?
Pretty much. I mean, a couple playoff appearances, but other than that.
Whoa.
So yeah,
Huh.
the Detroit curse is a real thing, it seems like.
God, that just must be a sad city to be a sports fan, man.
Pistons trash. I mean,
Tigers were good for a little bit, but didn't win a World Series or anything. Plus,
um,
it's Detroit. Like,
sorry, Detroit.
no offense if any viewer lives there.
We love you, Detroit, but still. No. Am I missing anything? Any professional sports team in Detroit? Oh, Detroit Red Wings won in 2008, and now have been absolute trash for the last decade as well. So Red Wings have also been garbage.
They got good college football though in Michigan.
Yeah, but that's not Detroit.
Well, yeah. I'm just trying to be optimistic here, man.
Trying to be. Let's go to the Chicago Bears. Super impressed with Justin Fields. He played like he was at Ohio State again.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't perfect passing the ball, but he was able to evade Fred Warner really nicely a couple times. He's starting to play a lot more comfortable. And Bray and I were talking about this today too. Is this exactly the reason why we should just leave rookie quarterbacks out there the whole season? Just to see them slowly progress as more playtime continues to be in their favor potentially?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the situation, right? Because like, if it's if it's somebody like Mac Jones, you obviously have to start him because there's no one else. um,
Either was Cam, but when Cam got cut, that was pretty clear cut.
well, yeah, clear cut. Well, yeah. But I mean, I think it's valuable for backups to sit for a year or two if they're sitting behind somebody that's really good and is a really smart player and can coach them and guide them. And I just don't know if any of the rookies have that guy. I mean, look at like oh
Pause. Joe Flacco with Zach Wilson.
oh wow. No. Um no, God.
I mean, he just got there. So, I mean,
Joe Flacco. Um no,
Jimmy
but
Garoppolo is not going to mentor Trey Lance. Frick that.
yeah, no, I mean it's Garoppolo, dude. Like he's too busy going out with adult film stars. Like
Oh, Jesus.
um but a great example, right, is
Alex
Alex
Smith and
Smith.
Patrick Mahomes. Perfect
Yes,
example.
perfect example. Alex Smith is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in NFL history, in my opinion.
I agree with that statement.
He never won a ring, well, technically, but he, he was always just a consistent like tier 2 starter, I felt, and he really took Patrick under his wing. I mean, that's really no secret.
It was
And then,
documented heavily. Like, we're
oh
not
yeah,
joking about this.
and then look what happened. So Mahomes has been a top 3 quarterback for the last however many years. Another great example, uh, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
That's not a good example. Brett
Well,
Favre hated Aaron Rodgers.
no, see the thing is though, they didn't exactly get along, but
You learn from watching.
yes, because Favre was, a legend. I mean, he was one of the best in the game at the time. And I think, with Rodgers, he's very much opposite of Favre in terms of how he plays. Favre was very aggressive, gunslinger, threw a lot of picks, just he played kind of scrappy, but Rodgers is very, very calculated, really a lot more conservative with the ball. And I think and this is just me speculating, but I feel like he looked at his game and thought, okay, I don't want to do that because just knowing how Aaron is, that's probably how he thought about it. It wasn't like, oh, look at this guy doing all these cool things. That's awesome. But no, he was instead like, okay, I'm not going to do that or that. You know what I mean? And then really made a conscious effort of it all. And I mean, they're buddies now apparently, so that's nice. But um, yeah. But with the with the rookies that we have now, I mean, there's Justin
So,
Fields and Andy Dalton.
uh,
I mean, what what are you gonna get out of Dalton? Like, no offense, I'm sure
experience.
he's a great guy, um, but yeah, So, and same with the 49. Why did it just click with me that those are the like the two teams with the rookies that have kind of been on and off starters. Anyways, and they played each other today. I'm sorry. Okay, but yeah, and because with Trey Lance especially, he has been. I don't know. I don't know what you do with Trey Lance because he's been pretty much not playing for like 2 years, and
Played one
the
game, and he played one game last year just as a showcase because
yeah,
of COVID.
and in the college time that he did have, he only played one season. So and it was at an FCS school. So he's really inexperienced.
He's very raw.
Oh, yeah. So, he's a guy that could totally benefit from either just going headfirst into a good system like San Francisco's or, learning from like an Alex Smith kind of guy or even Garoppolo, who's, he's all right, but I don't know if he's going to do that.
According to the Niners, $25 million, all right. But hey,
Yeah. I think I think that contract in a lot of ways, because they signed that deal.
but he did nothing.
Well, no, but they signed that deal like right after the whole Kaepernick fallout. And I think in a lot of ways that was them saying, "Yeah, we're done with Kaepernick. This is our guy now." You know?
I think it was just like, we believe in this guy enough. We know his potential. Let's just put him out here. And the contract, let's be honest, is fairly cheap considering the other contracts that we've seen.
Well, yeah, since quarterbacks are now asking for 160 million a year or whatever. God.
Of course, it was gonna fall at some point. No, but yeah, definitely.
25 million is what like Mahomes and Josh Allen should be getting paid, in my opinion. Okay, hot
We've
take
had
I
this
know, but
conversation.
I know we've had this conversation, but it pisses me off. Anyways, I digress.
Peter Parker just lost his next topic. Give me a second.
You can't remember what it was.
No, I remember what it was. I just need to pull up the information.
Oh.
Anyways, No Way Home coming out in about a month. I also have to do promotion for that.
Yeah,
Imagine if Tom
March,
Holland
I
sees
think.
this video.
Buys us tickets to the premiere. Oh, all right.
Cool.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, we could do a
I
show
wouldn't
in
mind
LA.
that.
Yeah.
we can do a show live from the premiere, just the audio of the
No,
movie
no,
in the
no. We did the show live from SoFi.
yeah.
Excuse me, Matthew Stafford. Can we interview you?
I'd love to interview Stafford. I'd love to interview him just as a whole.
Yeah, I think the person in the Rams organization I would most want to interview is Sean McVay.
Oh, 100%.
Just pick his brain. God.
Another team schedule that I want to talk about is the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
Because I think after today, we should have an honest conversation about what they are. Okay.
Yeah.
They lose to the Steelers on what we both said it was a fluke game.
Most likely.
Right. They go on. They dominate the Dolphins. Dominate Washington. Put a 40 bomb on the Texans. No surprise. Beat the Chiefs in a pretty good, nice statement win. Lose to the Titans. Go into the bye week on that loss, and have a really, honestly, abysmal offensive performance in the rematch against Miami. Are we certain that they are actually a Super Bowl contender still? Are we certain? Like, I feel like we still have them there, but I think without us, do we have a definitive number one in the AFC right now without
That's the
any
thing.
concerns? Because I think with Buffalo, like, that offense can go cold at any moment, it seems like. And it went cold today. It went kind of cold against Tennessee, my bad. Like, are we really certain we understand who's the top dog in the AFC right now? After today,
That's-
I just don't know. Like, I was perplexed by the Miami game. I was like, wait, their offense does not look that good.
I think that's the problem. It's like, and it's one game, so I don't.
Is it? I mean, the Steelers
yeah.
game was the same thing. If we're being
Yeah, but that was
reasonable, this is
week
basically
one.
a replay of the Steelers game.
Yeah, I mean, they won 26-11 though this week.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, they didn't play amazing, but it wasn't like it was a close game either. But I don't know. I mean, I think I don't love Buffalo right now, but I still feel like they've got to be in the bubble because
No, I'm not saying they're not in the bubble, but if we're
The
to
Super
rank
Bowl
teams in
bubble.
the bubble, how high are they?
that's the thing. Because I think the only reason they are there is because you just look at the rest of the AFC. It's like
Crapshoot.
kinda, yeah. I mean, I think we got Cincinnati, Tennessee, I guess.
Ugh. Put the
Um,
Colts in there, maybe.
mm, I don't know about Super Bowl.
No, I'm just saying. Let's just pull this up. Listen, the teams right now that I think hypothetically make the playoffs in the AFC are AFC East, Buffalo, New England, maybe
Fair, yeah. Wild card maybe.
Ravens, Bengals, North,
Yeah.
South, Titans, Colts, guaranteed in.
Colts, really?
Colts, I think, of that division, the two, because remember, two teams from each division basically go in.
Yeah, but what about the AFC West?
Oh,
The
so the
Chargers?
West. So yeah, the West would
Chiefs?
be Raiders, Chargers. Do the Chiefs even make the playoffs?
I mean, I don't think so, but
Yeah.
a
So
lot of people are so high on
I'm
them,
just gonna
so-
I'm just gonna say that two teams in each division. So Bills, Patriots, Ravens, Bengals, Titans, Colts, and then Raiders, Chargers.
Yeah.
Those are the top two teams in each division, and I think we can all agree that the records actually match our thought process on those teams from each division. I would say so.
Yeah.
Of those teams, are we really certain that any of them minus Buffalo have any realistic shot of making the Super Bowl? Maybe the Ravens. Definitely not the Bengals after that stupid defensive performance they had against Mike White and the freaking New York Jets.
It's funny too because I think statistically the Bengals were like the fifth best defense in terms of like yards and points allowed. And then then this happens to the Jets. Mike White. It's fine. It's fine.
I'm not saying Mike White obviously had a pretty good singular game performance. He drove the team down the field pretty well, but like, come on, guys. This is a guy who played twice.
Well, I mean, I think that's the big thing is like, the NFC, I feel like we kind of know what we're getting, it's like, it feels like, you got Dallas, Green Bay
wait, pause.
waiting.
NFC, Dallas, and nobody else. Legit,
Yeah.
nobody else. We're not even
Yeah.
counting the second team in this division. We can't.
No. I mean,
Ca-
it's 7 teams anyways, so yeah.
Yeah, but we can't. No one else deserves any consideration in this division. No one. NFC North, Packers, Vikings.
Yeah.
I still think the Vikings, even after today, can show up on offense the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think they're still like a projected 7th seed, so.
Yeah. South, I'm sorry, without Jameis Winston the rest of the year, it's just Tampa. That's it. Not even Carolina deserves to be in this conversation.
Maybe.
Maybe New Orleans. I don't know. I don't think so.
I could
though.
still see New Orleans, but yeah.
I don't know. The NFC, we just have a lot more checked outs for these guys. Like the Saints, I think we can check off, say nope, or cross off. Nope. Right.
Yeah.
West, Cardinals, Rams in.
Yeah.
They're chalked in. Packers
Niners,
chalked in.
maybe.
Cowboys chalked in. Bucks chalked in. Like we already know the chalked in teams.
Packers in.
So yeah, so Cowboys in, Packers in, Vikings honestly in, Bucks in, Cardinals, Rams in. That's it.
Yeah.
And the Vikings are the lowest in that. I think the Vikings still deserve it considering how they've actually played the season other than tonight.
So that's the thing with the NFC. You know, we've got all those guys, but then the AFC, it's like everyone's just beating up on each other. It's just kind of like, who's good? Who's even good here? Because everyone's just beating each other.
Okay,
You know?
so if we're gonna say in, Bills in, are the
Yeah.
Patriots an in? I mean, are they
Uh,
really an in right now? They might be.
Right now, I would say yes. I
I
think.
think so.
I think
I'm impressed with them.
they're
It's
getting
not just
better.
Mac Jones. Their defense looks nice with Bill Belichick running that show. I say in right now. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Ravens in. Bengals
Probably, yeah.
in. Steelers, Browns, no. We're not discussing them?
Nah.
No. I can't. We said the
Steelers,
Browns
maybe?
are Super Bowl contender week 1. How we fallen there?
Yeah, what the hell? Injuries, I guess. Steelers, maybe, but probably not.
Yeah. Titans in, Colts in.
I don't know about the Colts. I'm still kind of on them.
I'll say in, but I respect your lukewarmness on the Colts. Jags enjoyed the draft. Texans enjoyed the draft. Okay, AFC West. Raiders in.
I'd say so, probably.
Chargers in.
Yeah, despite their struggles.
Broncos.
No,
Chiefs.
no.
I agree. There we go. That's what we have. And honestly, out of those teams that we mentioned, the Bills are the best by probably a mile.
Probably. But
Like
then again,
maybe the
it's like,
Ravens are second
they?
best. Right.
Yeah, so then it's like, well, yeah, Ravens are second best, but are they? I feel like Tennessee would whoop them. But
I kind of feel that too.
But is Tennessee the second or third best? Even though they have a 6-2 record? I don't think so. It's just
No.
weird. I don't know, dude. Like,
I think the
But-
one team that we need to talk about here too is the Chargers. They couldn't get outside their own
Yeah.
like 20-yard line all game today. Chargers are inconsistent on offense. We're impressed by Herbert. We know what he can do, but man, that offense is inconsistent.
and I think their biggest problem, that rush defense, is bad.
Yeah.
They cannot stop the run to save their lives.
Yeah, Damian Harris kind of blew them up, but they both got called back, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's they kind of remind me of the Raiders last year. where
Yeah, it's a good comparison.
They got off to a really hot start, but then it was like they still have some of these holes here, and then they just sort of were kind of average. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm looking too far into it, but
I don't think you are. Why are Broncos games so good? They've been good all year somehow. That's about
I
all I
mean-
can say there.
I mean, Denver doesn't have a bad roster. They just don't have a lot of juice, you know?
They
just
got
feel
some
like-
juice today. They got some pressure on Taylor Heineke, but I was talking to Brandon about this today. If they have Aaron Rodgers, they're the best team in the AFC right now. I mean, think about it.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, probably, actually.
Like, I don't think I'm being.
I mean, that's a ooh. Yeah. I mean, they definitely have I would say a top 3 defense in the AFC. And
I was actually impressed by their defense today. I'm not giving them enough credit, honestly. I'm just not.
I mean, that's the thing. Like Denver does a lot well, but they just don't.
They don't do it. They do a lot of things well, but they don't do a lot of things good or great.
Right. They do a lot good, but nothing like amazing. And
Yeah.
I think obviously their biggest hole is the quarterback position. And not that
Teddy B can only do so much.
yeah, I mean, I think Teddy is a great bridge guy, but he doesn't have that spark that you would get from a guy
Franchise
like
guy.
yeah, from a guy like Aaron Rodgers, you know, who's gonna sling it downfield and bring his crazy hippie energy and whatever. And you know, so no hate. I like him. I like him.
I do too.
He's my buddy.
You see in Hawaii with your Snoopy shirt.
But I actually bought this while I was there on that trip.
I
Funny
thought
story.
so.
Strange enough. But anyways. So yeah, that is interesting to think about.
Like,
I
I
was reading-
firmly believe that they're the best team in the AFC with Aaron Rodgers right now.
They're certainly the best in the AFC West, like no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm sure he absolutely carves up Tennessee's defense. I think Buffalo is probably like the only team that is really that competitive with them come playoff time, you know?
Yeah. If it's Aaron. Yeah.
Except I don't know. Let's say Rodgers were to go to the Broncos. I feel like him and Vic Fangio would be
A bizarro combo.
that would not be the best fit, I don't think.
No. Defense. The only reason they have Vic Fangio as the head coach is because of their good defense.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think he's even that great of a coach, honestly. Like I don't know. He
Yeah.
doesn't impress me.
But other than, unfortunately, the bleeding hand of Matt Ryan.
Whew, yeah.
This Panthers Falcons game was not entertaining at all. They have anything redeemable?
It's the Panthers and Falcons. Of course it's not.
I mean, Sam Darnold showed some flashes of good running. That's about it. Rams Texans, I think that they didn't cover. I think the cover was like -16 for the Rams. I don't think they covered, or maybe they did, whatever.
I think
Still,
yeah, that was about the score differential.
oh yeah, they did cover, freaking out bettors everywhere. Other than that, this game was nothing to write home about, other than the fact that Texans scored 22 in garbage time. Don't want to write too much into that. Other than that, have fun tomorrow watching the Giants play the Chiefs, which I guess in some respect is gonna be interesting if the Chiefs do struggle. And then have fun watching Mike White on Thursday night.
Yeah, dude. What if the Giants just went out there and kicked ass? That would be funny.
Eli would be happy on the Payne and Eli broadcast.
Oh yeah. Oh man. And I'm sure Peyton would be too, seeing his division rival go down.
Yeah.
Or his division rival of what, 4 years or whatever.
I was talking about this with my guy John on Relevant over on Thursday night when we were covering the Cardinals game. Which that was a great game, by the way. But
Really
I felt like the Packers kind of controlled that whole game. Kind of my quick spiel on that. Did you feel that too?
Yeah, I was surprised how well they did and how well they controlled it, considering all their injuries.
Yeah,
Like they had what 11 people out.
something like that.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
And then have fun watching Jets Colts on Thursday night. Oh, oh,
Why do
oh.
the Thursday night games suck?
Why do the Monday night games suck? I mean, come on, we
Is it because
got both
Joe
teams.
Buck has to commentate them and ESPN, the two worst commentating teams in NFL? They're just like, here, take the crap. You know, I gotta say though, I kind of
love
like
how
Joe
both-
Buck with baseball.
I
The
do
World
too.
Series.
Also, the Astros won. What was it, 9-5 today? So game 6 coming out this week.
Oh,
Astros picked up the win.
that's 3-2 Astros. Yeah.
No, 3-2 Atlanta. Atlanta was trying to get the win today to win the World Series. So it's 3-2
Oh,
Atlanta.
Atlanta won Game 5.
Yeah. So it's 3-2 Atlanta right now.
Or Game 4 again.
Yeah.
Because I saw that they were. It was.
I'll be honest, this World Series has kind of sucked. Today was the only good World
yeah.
Series game in a while. Today was actually a good game that I didn't really get a chance to watch, of course, since we were doing this podcast. But today the game was actually quite good. But this World Series has been just like bats everywhere, and it's just one team kind of controlling the other. It's really not been that entertaining.
No, I don't know. I saw the game yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched until like the 7th inning, I think, and it was 2-0 Astros. And so, you know, just based off the previous games, how the one team that was in the lead stayed in the lead, I figured, okay, well, Houston's gonna win. And I just never checked the score for whatever reason. But Atlanta won last night.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at least from what I can recall. So yeah, it's gonna be a boring week of post shows on Relevant this week, just because the games are gonna be so freaking bad. But it's okay.
When is
Well,
Game 6?
I think Tuesday, probably should be Tuesday.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah. Other than that, yeah. Other than that, though, like just boring weekday games and then a full schedule on Sunday. Oh, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the boredom that Brandon and I both experienced watching Jaguars versus Seahawks. That was how much of that did you watch before you turned it off?
I didn't watch any of it.
Good call.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be a dumb game. I was like, screw it.
Yeah, no, I think the conversation that I've been having in my circles as well with you guys and with John and everyone else talking some Seahawks ball this week is give me a percentage. Just give me a percentage. I was thinking about this the last few days after my conversation with John on Thursday and on Monday last week when we were talking about the Saints game. But I was thinking about this more so where I actually wanted to ask the question last few days. Here's my question. What is your percentage of Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson both leave this offseason? Both of them leave. If you were to put a percentage on it right now.
So not just like one or the other, but both of them?
Both.
20.
That's exactly what I say. I think it's 20.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them left, but if they both did, I don't know. That would be weird to me. Because Pete Carroll still has like, what, 6 more years left on his deal?
He just resigned last year to a 5-year contract.
Yeah, so I don't think he's leaving on his own will.
He's
maybe
going
he
to get
gets-
fired, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe he gets fired, honestly, which, you know, at this point, I think it's time. But you know, I mean, I like the guy. I don't like, you know, it's not that I want him to leave, I guess, but I think with the passing of the late great Paul Allen, you know, his sister, is it Jody?
I think so. Yeah, she's been
Jody,
running the
yeah.
show not only with the Seahawks, but the Blazers as well.
Yeah. And she's very hands off, which, you know, it's understandable. It's a big job. Not everyone's into it. But as a result, Pete Carroll has
And
gotten a lot,
Snyder.
and Snyder, they've gotten a lot more power, which I don't like that because ultimately this is an owners league, the NFL. So,
Is a shield league, as we like to call it.
yeah. So, I mean, I mean, it's annoying, but you need a good owner in the NFL. You just do. And not that, I mean, nothing against her. I'm sure she's a lovely lady. But she's not, she's not doing anything. So, I mean, she's clearly not interested. So, I think either sell it, which, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't at
Plenty
this point.
bidders.
You get a lot of money. um, unless it's like in his will or something. But, anyways, I don't want to speculate on that. So, I mean, I think if you do that and then kind of put a bit of a leash on Pete Carroll, I think that solves part of the problem. But I also just think that he's stubborn and he doesn't really want to change his ways. And his ways in terms of football are very old school, very college.
90s, 2000s,
Oh,
early
yeah.
2000s, 80s ball. Like we
Which worked great back then.
We saw this with Alex Collins. I think a lot less this game because, of course, it's the Jags. Like, relax, people. But
Yeah.
like the game against the Saints, like how many times did we see runs to Alex Collins? I was like,
I
oh
know.
my god, dude.
And I know for a fact that's not Shane Waldron.
No, it's not.
You know,
It cannot be. It cannot be Shane Waldron. I'm sorry, it cannot be.
Because I mean, he said
Spidey says no. It cannot. Be.
well. I mean, he's said that he wants to run this very dynamic, balanced West Coast scheme.
Where is it?
Yeah, exactly. They're not doing that, so they're still in their whatever vertical power run or whatever it is.
Here's my question: should Shane Waldron be the head coach? This is a really good question. Now that you bring it up, should Shane Waldron be the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks? And you know what? That's not a bad idea.
Okay. Okay. Before I answer that, if that happens, do you think Russell stays?
I still am of the hypothesizing. Well, actually, no. I think if that happens, Russell stays.
Okay.
I think if that happens, Russell stays. I actually do.
I think I do too. I think
Yeah.
so. Like, if it's this offseason or the next offseason after his contract, either Pete or Russell is going. I think I don't.
We said 20%. I am certain at least one of them goes this offseason. Unless they win the Super Bowl. No, I think this offseason. Unless this team wins the Super Bowl, which right now we can both say with confidence that even if they get to the playoffs, they're not even getting close to that. No way.
Smelling the Super Bowl this year.
No. I think the likelihood of one of those two happening, Pete leaving or Russell leaving, I think more so Russell leaving, I think is at 80.
Now,
I think it's at 80. I think one or the other happens.
If
this offseason.
I mean, if Pete Carroll is fired, then I think maybe Russell stays. But here's
the thing. If you're the Seattle Seahawks, you need to bring in a young, dynamic head coach. And how many of those are really out there anymore?
Well,
let's be honest.
This would be my idea. Shane Waldron, I think maybe could be head coach. I mean,
Ken Norton Jr.
No. God, no. Although,
no,
find somebody else to be defensive coordinator, I would maybe keep him for a year with a new head coach and see if see if he's actually the problem. Because I kind of feel like he's not. But
I think at this point he is. It's been a few years, but
I mean, maybe, I don't know. It's anybody's guess. But regardless, yeah. So what I would try and do, because Shane Waldron is still, I mean, he's a rookie offensive coordinator. I think to just throw him into head coach is like, whoa.
What
think
options are there?
hold on. I think you let him. I think you should let him be offensive coordinator for another year, 2, even 3. Just kind of let him progress, develop. The guy that I would try and hire, and I don't know how likely this is, but I would go for Brian Dable.
Where is he again?
And Bill's offensive coordinator.
Oh yeah, correct.
And the reason
Yeah.
I say that is because,
I think it fits.
yeah, I mean, I think he fits. He's a great offensive coordinator. He's young, energetic, and Sean McDermott is a defensive head coach. He's a great head coach, I think.
I love Sean McDermott.
So he's been studying, even though he's the offensive guy, he's been in the building with this great defensive mind for what, 3-4 years now.
And Dable's turned that offense into gangbusters, at least for
Yeah.
the last few months, not even months, years.
So I feel like he would have some pretty good defensive knowledge just from Sean McDermott, and then that way, I think you're not rushing Shane Waldron into a head coaching job so fast because he just became an offensive coordinator literally this year, whereas Brian Dable, he's been an offensive coordinator for a few years now. He's gotten comfortable with that, and people are interested in hiring him to be a head coach. And I think if Russell is staying, he looks at that team, at that offense, they got some pretty good skill there. He looks at that defense, they got some good pieces there. I mean, it's not great. It's
I
not
mean,
really coming together
if you can
right
unleash
now.
DK, if you can unleash DK even more and bring back Tyler Lockett to full speed,
Yeah.
it's something.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think, he might look at that compared to the other head coaching opportunities and go, oh, that looks pretty good. I'm going to go there. You know what I mean? Because what else is there going to be? Chicago?
Vegas,
God. Vegas? Maybe?
not Chicago, but Vegas. I think the only feasible option is Vegas. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think the only feasible option for him is Vegas.
Yeah. Unless Vegas hires an in-house guy, which they could, but
How about Eric Bieniemy for Seattle? I just don't think he fits.
no, I don't like that.
I have a weird feeling that he just doesn't fit.
I think they need an offensive guy.
They need a
based off-
specific type.
Yeah, I mean, but like just based off how the offense or how the league is nowadays, because it's such an offensive league that I think you either need an offensive head coach or you need a defensive head coach that is really good, like a Sean McDermott or
Or McVay. Shoot.
McVay's offense, but
Like a defensive guy. Yeah, I think McDermott's the real example there.
yeah, because what's interesting is that so there are 32 head coaches in the NFL. How many of them do you think are defensive guys?
Oh shoot. I have to go through it in my head. There's probably not a ton.
9.
And the
9
9
guys.
are
9 are defensive guys, and the other math.
not what teams are those 9?
All 4 AFC East teams,
Okay.
which is kind of funny. Mike Tomlin,
Of course.
Pete Carroll,
Of course.
and then
Vic Fangio, Denver Broncos.
yes, and then
David Culley, Houston Texans.
yes,
Urban Meyer. What even is he?
I mean,
He's not a head coach. That's it. Move on.
well, yeah, well, I guess Urban Meyer. I mean, he has a defensive background, but he's been a head coach for so long that I feel like he's just his background is not offense or defense, but college.
He doesn't count. I'm sorry, he doesn't count.
No. But there's a
Harbaugh. John
Yeah.
Harbaugh.
I think no.
John
Harbaugh's
Harbaugh.
offense.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's Who's the last guy? Now it's bothering me. Well, anyways.
Mike
Oh,
Rabel, Tennessee
Mi-
Titans.
Vrabel. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who. And
Joe
that,
Judge.
no, he's offense,
He's offense. Yeah.
I think.
Nick Sirianni, I would say offense, but he kind of sucks at that.
Oh, and Brandon Staley, the Chargers guy.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Offense. But
No,
no,
defense.
if you yeah, that's right. He is a defensive guy. Holy
Brandon
crap.
Staley. Yeah. So I guess there's 10, but
Either way.
still. that's
Hopefully
not
did a
many.
good job listing them out. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think who else would there be? I don't think they would hire Ken Norton. I certainly hope not.
No. Who where does Eric Bieniemy go at this point? Yeah, and I firmly believe we are saying this like that I don't think he fits the Seattle job, but this man deserves a head coaching job in the NFL. He's deserved it for like 2 years now. This guy's earned his due in the NFL. Or put him at USC, but I don't even think he should go to. You think he deserves an NFL job?
Yeah, I think
David Culley, give him like 3 years in Houston. He's not gonna get fired this offseason.
no.
That'd be stupid. I think Culley's done a good job, all things considered.
Oh yeah.
And Dan Campbell ain't getting fired even with the 0-17 season. He's just not. If he does, I'd be stunned.
He didn't feel right from the beginning.
Campbell?
Yeah.
I guess.
Just from day one. I was like, nah, this ain't it.
He reminds me so much of Jim Tomsula. It's kind of bizarre. Remember him?
A little bit.
Yeah. I think the Giants would be interesting for him. I think Philly would be interesting for him. I think Denver would be interesting for him. Definitely not Jacksonville. Oh, I don't want to coach there. Sorry. I don't know. I think those are pretty much the options. Oh, and also I did want to mention I like seeing Robert Saleh get fired up again. That defensive line looks so good today and has looked pretty good all season.
Yeah. You know, it's the Jets still, but you know.
I love how when teams are so bad for your like almost your entire life, you're just like, it's this team. Screw it. We have
Yeah, exactly.
Jets, Lions. Oh my God.
Okay. I'm looking at a list right now of the best NFL head coaching candidates for 2022. Let's see what they got here.
Where is this from?
This is from Sports Illustrated.
Okay.
Top candidates. Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator, Green Bay.
Don't entirely agree with that.
Yeah. Brian Dable.
Agree.
Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, Todd Bowles.
No.
I mean,
no.
Not for Seattle, but
No.
Oh, you mean in general?
No. Todd Bowles. I'm sorry. Todd Bowles. Maybe Byron Leftwich. Maybe. I don't think he's ready for that yet. But we've seen the Bulls saga enough. He's not. He is not an NFL head coach. He's just not.
Eric Bieniemy.
He deserves. If he doesn't get a job in 2022, the Rooney Rule needs to be thrown out and restarted. He needs a job. Come on, dude.
Yeah, they talk about that in his blurb actually. Let's see. Raheem Morris.
Yes. After we did in Atlanta,
I like that.
yes, I like that. I don't think I like it for Seattle, but I like it.
No.
I like it in Jacksonville.
Ooh.
I like it in Jacksonville. That fits.
Yeah, I could see that. Let's see. Mike McDaniel, offensive coordinator, San Francisco. Maybe?
No.
I mean,
Are you impressed with their offense at all?
I mean, it's creative if anything else, but no.
That's all Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, true. Joe Woods, defensive coordinator, Cleveland.
No.
Nah. Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator for Dallas.
Yes. No, this is a Seahawks one. And I firmly believe this is a Seahawks one.
You think so?
Yes. I think Kellen Moore is actually a great offensive mind. I do.
Oh, he absolutely is.
And I think he can fit really well with Russell Wilson. I really do. I think that's a great candidate.
This is a good one. Joe Brady.
He's not ready for it yet.
I mean, he's not ready, but
2 years,
soon?
son. 2 years.
Yeah,
2023.
I think he'd be great.
I think giving him a job this offseason is too early because we haven't actually seen him with a capable quarterback yet
Yeah.
in Carolina. If he gets a capable quarterback in Carolina other than Sam Darnold, then we can talk. I just want to see it first. Give me 2 years. Give me 2022. I think in 2023, yeah, he's a top candidate.
The last one on here is Josh McDaniels.
Can we just don't talk about this? Can we just stop? This is on the list all the time. If he gets a coaching job anywhere, there's a reason why he didn't take the Colts job.
Yeah.
If he gets a coaching job anywhere other than New England, when Belichick retires, he will be a terrible head coach.
Yeah.
History shows us that. That's also what I kind of say with Todd Bowles. Like history kind of shows us that it doesn't really fit a head coaching gig. I think history shows us that McDaniels will only fit when Belichick retires.
Right.
Let's just not have this discussion anymore with McDaniels. He'll be on the list every year. He always is. If he gets another head coaching job, this is Spidey speaking. If he gets another head coaching job, Spidey will have to put a web around whatever organization that will be in. No,
Where was his job? Detroit?
Denver.
Denver, that's right.
And it was pretty abysmal.
Yeah. So then they have college coaches listed.
No thanks.
Lincoln Riley.
No thanks. You know what? After seeing Urban Meyer, can we stop talking about these famous college coaches going to the NFL?
You know, it's funny with college coaches. Is that, like the famous ones like Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, whatever, they do terrible. But then it's like guys like Cliff Kingsbury,
Who, by the way, you want to remember his record his previous season at Texas A&M?
yeah, garbage.
It was a losing record. It was like terrible.
And it's like, what, this guy? And then it's like, well, yeah, he actually looks all right, you know?
Yeah, it's always the coaches that don't matter that have losing seasons.
Let's see. They also have Dan Mullen, Florida.
Ugh.
Ryan Day, Ohio State.
Ugh.
Nah. Pat Fitzgerald, Northwestern.
That I
Nah.
kind of like, kind of.
Dabo
Not
Sweeney.
really. Ugh.
No. Clemson's offensive coordinator for an NFL head coach job? Really? Huh.
After this season where they've been trash.
Yeah, that's kind of strange. And then there's, of course, NFL special teams coordinators. Jeff Rogers, Arizona.
Nah. We're digging too deep now. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Jacksonville fire Urban Meyer like tomorrow, please. I can't believe I'm asking for that. But I mean, seriously, it was so bad today. Like it
Honestly,
was just terrible.
I figured he would have just quit at this point. Like if I'm gonna be real with you. Like but now it's like he's like, no, I'm committed. And then the owner's like, yeah, we're not firing Urban. It's like, really? You're both lying. I know it. But like, I don't know.
I'm gonna show people that I'm actually me and not before we go.
Oh, you're actually what?
Oh. Hello.
Hello.
Robert is back from Berlin, just like that.
Yo, how was it? Did you get any oh God, what's it called? Schnitzel. Yeah.
Doctor Strange kind of put me in a whirlpool, but it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of which, since I was wearing the Spider-Man suit, let's do some MCU deep dives really quick.
Your new favorite topic.
No Way Home.
Yeah.
We got photos today of all three Spider-Man outfits, which I think we're at the point where we're just assuming that all three of them are gonna have small cameo, or two of them, Tobey Maguire and Sam or whatever, are just gonna have just
Andrew
small cameo.
Garfield.
And my bad, my God, I'm confusing everybody. So Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are just going to have small cameos in this movie.
Probably.
I
They're
honestly
definitely
feel
gonna
like
be in it.
they're gonna be in it, but they're not gonna be like a final
don't think-
battle type thing.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're gonna be like major characters like some people are thinking.
I was hoping for it, not gonna happen. I think we're at
I-
the point where we're just like, nope.
I kind of hope not.
Really?
I was hoping that they wouldn't be big characters because it's Tom's trilogy. This is Tom's send off movie.
But it's
You know?
it's Spider-Man sent off. They're not gonna make another movie. Do we
Well,
really think they're gonna make another movie?
Yeah, of course. You know how profitable Spider-Man is? They'll reboot it in like 10 years. I mean, look, like, bro, they had the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man from 2002 to 2007. 5 years later, they made the first Andrew Garfield movie. Okay, 5 years after the Spider-Man 3. Okay, they didn't take much of a breather there. For 2012 and then 2014, the third movie got canceled, which I kind of wish we could have seen it, but you know
that was had a lot to do with Kevin Feige and the MCU, as we saw in the book, but
yeah,
had a lot to do with them. I think for good reason, but still,
And
kind
then-
of good reason, not entirely. Just saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I at least wish that story would have been finished, as kind of mediocre as it was, but oh well. And so there was the 5-year gap between Toby and Andrew, and there was only a 2-year gap between Andrew and Tom. So it's like, so I mean, not even, don't even give it 2 years, give it 1 year, like July of 2022. I'm sure there'll be a new Spider-Man with like some, you know, infant child playing Spider-Man, because they seem to get younger and younger every time.
Yeah,
I'm kidding, kind of, but
kind of not really.
Yeah, no. I mean, because you know, Tom Holland has said, he's like, you know, I want to keep playing Spider-Man after this, and I'm sure Marvel and Sony are just fine with that. So, you know, I'm sure they'll make something eventually. It'll probably be a few years, but I'm sure they will. You know, I mean, he's kind of busy right now. He's possibly in a new franchise with Uncharted.
Are we certain that's going to be a franchise or a one-off garbage movie?
That's the thing. I think they're thinking it's going to be a franchise, but I'm I'm pretty
Should
sure
I
that's
play
not
the video
case.
games before I go see it? I don't even think I
I
want
don't
to
even
see it.
see it.
Yeah.
No, it's like, I mean, Tom, like, he looks the part, you know. He just, you know what it is? He looks like Peter Parker cosplaying as Nathan Drake. That's really what it is. And,
Yeah.
and that's how he acts too. Like,
but you
at
know
least
what?
in the trailer.
That's what makes Tom Holland such a good Spider-Man. Like when you watch him in other movies, you're like, oh my God, he just
Peter.
fits Spider-Man so well.
Yeah, no, exactly.
He just fits that role so perfectly. It's kind of hard to
Unless-
see him do anything else.
Well, have you seen him in Cherry?
What is Cherry?
Oh, so it was a movie directed by the Russo brothers, and it was written by their sister, I believe. And it was based off this book about this guy who was a veteran, and he wrote this book about himself and how he was in high school and he fell in love with this girl, or you know, fell in love, and you know, things are great, but then 9/11 happened. I think, am I remembering it right? I think so. And he was really fed up, and he thought, you know, I want to go serve my country. So he goes to Afghanistan or Iraq, one of those two. I don't remember which one, but anyways, so he's out there, and then, you know, this big war is happening, and he gets PTSD. And he's like, I wish I hadn't done this. Then he comes back home, and then he's, you know, kind of seen the girl again, but he's like addicted to opioids because he's, you know, freaked out and anxious, and understandably. And so he starts robbing banks to pay for his addiction, to get his drugs. And so then it's just it's a roller coaster of a story, and it's kind of like it changes genres like 3 times. It starts out as like a high school love story, and then becomes a war movie, and then becomes like some crime thriller. Which it's kind of all over the place, but but um, he really shows a lot of range in that movie just as an actor.
Yeah, I've honestly fallen
Yeah.
in love with Tom Holland as an actor from the Spider-Man movies. I really
He's
have.
good. He's good. But as Nathan Drake, I don't buy it. He's just and what's even worse is Mark Wahlberg
I hated that. When I
as
saw
Sully.
that, I was like, oh,
That
gee.
does not work at all.
I
Not only does he not look okay, here's the thing about Sully. He's got gray hair, he's got a mustache, and he smokes a hell of a lot of cigars. Mark Wahlberg has none of those, and he also has a deep voice. Which
I gotta
Mark
be
Wahlberg
honest.
also doesn't have.
I gotta be honest. I clicked on the trailer. I watched 5 seconds. I saw Wahlberg and I turned it off.
Yeah,
I was like,
Mark
come on,
Wahlberg,
guys.
if anything,
what is
he
this
should be Nathan
casting?
Drake.
I don't even think he fits that.
I mean, no, he doesn't, but he's better than Tom Holland, and it's certainly better for him than
Sully.
what's his face? Yeah.
I think the movie's gonna be trash. All these video game movies are garbage. This has nothing to do with acting. There's nothing to do with acting.
No.
It's just the casting is always terrible.
Yeah.
The video games are always way better than the movies. It doesn't work.
Well, because you're trying to compress a 15-hour story into 2 hours.
Or maybe
just
3 if
hard.
you're lucky. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's just tough, But did you ever see the Uncharted fan film with Nathan Fillion?
No, I did not.
That was
I have to
great.
finish the games too.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That is like, because ever since they announced the Uncharted movie like 11 years ago, it's been in development hell. But ever since they announced it, the second they did, everyone was like, cast Nathan Fillion as Drake, cast Nathan Fillion, and everybody has been saying that. And they're like, no, he's too old for the part. So originally they cast Mark Wahlberg, who is the same age as Nathan Fillion, but Nathan Fillion's too old, I guess. Anyways, so then finally, this guy who is he's like an indie director. He gets a hold of Nathan Fillion and he's like, hey, you want to do this Uncharted movie, right? And he's like, well, yeah, but they don't seem to want me. He's like, oh, no, they do. Let's make one of our own. And he was like, okay. So they legit made an Uncharted movie. And it's so good. And like the Nathan Fillion is Drake. I mean, it's perfect. Like he has the look, the attitude, the kind of like the facial expressions. It's great. And then, Sully, they have Stephen Lang, and he's I don't know if you know who he is, but
I've heard of him.
He's a bit gruff for Sully, but he's got the look, he's got the cigar, he's got kind of the deep growly voice. Kid, it works. It's not perfect, but it's certainly more convincing than Mark Wahlberg. Like
when I saw that, I was like, I am done. I love
Yeah.
Tom Holland, but I cannot do this.
Yeah.
I just cannot.
But anyways,
That's
that.
Also, Dune, right? Dune just came out, and I'm kind of tempted to see it. I saw the trailer in IMAX, and it looks kind of sick. It kind of just looks sick.
I haven't seen it, but I want to.
It kind of looks sick, and I'm tempted to go see it. Maybe not in theaters, but eventually I will see it.
I've heard it's kind of a cliffhanger ending, which is annoying.
Well, because they're doing it in 2 parts.
No, I know why, but still.
Yeah.
There's like 3 types of sequel, or 3 types of endings for movies that are having sequels. It's like, it's like A New Hope, Star Wars A New Hope, which I won't spoil anything, but it's like
I'm going to get to those. We'll have a conversation about them. I will get those eventually.
If there was more, yeah, that'd be fun. But if not, and this is all we got, this is a complete story, I'm happy with that. Whatever, it's fine. And then there's like Lord of the Rings, where it's like, okay, I mean, this story, like, yeah, it's come to an end. Like, this story is over, but there's definitely more to be told. And then there's Dune, where it's just like, it's like the first act, and then you get about halfway through the second act, and it's like, oh, things are getting exciting, and it's over, and you're like, wait, what? There's like no resolve at all.
Go to the second movie.
Yeah, it's like, well, I guess I gotta watch the second one. It's just that's kind of annoying to me. But Infinity War, I feel like was
Not even that. I mean,
actually
come
no,
on.
no.
Infinity War actually had a conclusion that if you didn't have Endgame,
Infinity War was more like a Lord of the Rings ending.
right? But like, I was like, let's just say that phase ended with Infinity War. I would have been happy. They could have built.
I don't know
off
that I would have been happy, but
No,
but
I wouldn't have. I'm not saying. I'm saying.
But it's an ending.
I'm saying. What I mean
That's
by
one
I
way to
would.
go.
What I mean by I would have been happy, meaning like, not exactly what happened. Obviously, I'm not happy that ending happened. But there's an arc there to be told. They weren't actually able to tell in Endgame, which I hated, honestly, because I hated and I understood why, but I didn't because I felt that the ending of Endgame with Thanos, and he just kind of has this like sense of regret or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, obviously that gets completely ignored in Endgame for a reason. But there's part of me that wishes that there was something there. The only real thing where it's like that is he realizes what actually happened, which is that they went back in time, and he's like, you can't live with your own failure. Now
That was a great line.
Now I can however he says it. I watched it's funny. I went back and watched some clips of Endgame, and now it makes more sense.
Yeah.
Now it makes more sense how deep I've gotten. Like the closure with Tony Stark and his father and all that stuff. But
yeah, that was great.
But like he's like you couldn't live what you done, so I will tear this world into every last atom and all this stuff. Like I love that, and that was probably the only thing that kind of semi connected to the end of Infinity War, but not even close. I don't know. I have a hard time with Endgame. Maybe I need to go back and rewatch it. Just now that I have a bit of a different view, I feel like I should go back and rewatch Endgame. Because it's just one of those films that I just feel like I don't have a great granular opinion on. Same with the first Avengers movie. I just don't have a good opinion about those movies. It's like they're bad movies. They're all really good. Both of them are really good movies. But when I look at both of those movies in conjunction with like Infinity War, I'm like, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like with Thanos, I mean, he was such a good character in Infinity War. I mean, he was really well written. He was, in a way, he was the hero, kind of.
Yeah, we talked about the hero's arc thing
because he was written. He's the protagonist of the story. I mean, he's not the hero because I mean, obviously, he's a terrible person, but he is the main character. He's the protagonist. It's built around him, and regardless of that, I mean, he has this great arc in that movie and so many great characteristics to him. And then in Endgame, he's just big bad evil villain for the sake of being big bad, because they're like, well, we already established him in the next one, so who cares now? It's like,
even in the scene where Thanos ends up killing him, I was like, that did not have that much depth. The scene where Thanos ends up killing him at the beginning of the movie and chops his head off.
When Thor kills him.
Yeah, or assuming that when Thor kills him. I'm just like
the other PH guy.
My bad. But still, I was just like, chopping his head off was cool. But I mean, Thor is still.
I was
impressed.
Like, great, okay, so he's gonna come back, right? Or so just like
I don't know. Endgame, I feel like I will go back and rewatch it after a while, just because I feel like I want a great opinion on it. A scene that I have been rewatching is the portal scene.
Oh yeah.
I forgot how good that scene is.
The score too. Amazing.
Oh my god, I love the score. But also, like, I'm kind of confused at the portal scene in that, from what I remember, Hulk, when he makes the snap, everyone comes back.
Right.
So, but the heroes don't come back until the portal scene?
No, they came back to life. The portal scene was just Doctor Strange bringing them there.
Oh, that's why. Still, that makes more sense. But that scene is one of the best scenes in the whole MCU, no question.
You should have been there in the theater when that scene happened.
I watched actual clips of people in the theater with that
Yo.
scene. Oh my god.
Dude, people were crying. I was just
Really?
sitting there. I was just sitting there laughing because I was like, "What are you people crying for?" Like, we all knew they were gonna come back. Just be quiet.
Well, I
Like,
mean, hey, when you have that many films, which I'm gonna go back and watch some of the films I missed too. Like,
'cause-
I think I
'cause
might start with Iron Man 3 and kind of go back and watch some of
I
those.
knew when I was watching Infinity War, at first when he snapped and it was killing like Bucky and some of these kind of side characters, I was like, "Oh, this is for real." But then
I mean, he killed off Spider-Man too.
so at first I was like, "Oh wow, is this legit? Like, are they actually killing these people?" But then I think the first big character they killed was Black Panther, if I'm not mistaken. And I was like, "Okay, yeah, no,
Doctor
they're
Strange, too.
reversing this." It's like this dude just made almost $2 billion on his movie. They're not killing him off, and of course, in real life, he did actually tragically pass away. But
Yeah.
at the time, I was, it's like they got so many more movies to make with this guy. And
Yeah.
I mean, they obviously they would have, but unfortunately,
it seems like all three major like MCU characters get like 3 movies. Because Thor's gonna get Thor the
Yeah.
Dark World, which by the way, I've been doing some research on like the Love and Thunder movie.
oh yeah,
It's gonna have a lot of Dark World stuff in it. So I feel like I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to watch Dark World too. I will go back. I'm thinking I'm
I'll
gonna
let you know.
start. No. I will go to the theaters to watch Love and Thunder. I probably won't go watch. I'm debating watching the new Doctor Strange movie. You guys told me it's kind of horror-y. I've done some research on it. Doesn't seem too bad.
It's PG-13, so it probably won't be that bad.
I'm okay
But-
with being a little spooked. But I
But
will
still.
say, like, I feel like I'm gonna go back and like watch Iron Man. Like, I'll start with Iron Man 3 and kind of go through some of them. But
It's probably like the Mysterio illusion scene in
it's probably like that.
Far From Home. It's probably gonna be like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But just like more.
Yeah. I might just watch it at home instead of going to the theater. But other than that, like it seems like they just do 3 for everybody.
Usually.
Because Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, like that's what they're gonna do. Also, speaking of Chadwick Boseman, I did watch Black Panther last night with my mom.
Yeah.
We both enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's not the You're right in that it's not the most like pure action film like movie. It really is
No,
not.
It's definitely one of the more dramatic, serious movies in the franchise.
But also it had your Marvel twists and turns that I really like. Like Killmonger. I was not expecting that.
Great villain.
Oh, incredible.
I would say top 3 antagonists in the MCU.
Incredible.
Like
And-
with Thanos and Loki.
Yeah. I agree with that. But the ritual combat scenes, I mean, the one thing about that movie is just the cinematography. I mean, the area of Wakanda and the way that they portray it in terms of visual, it's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's probably the most
And
visually stunning MCU movie. At least the ones that I've watched.
too.
Oh my god,
Costumes are
unbelievable.
really cool.
Unbelievable.
I think my issues with that movie were some of the CGI, like especially in the final battle, were like noticeably bad. And I don't really fault them for that because
It's such a weird environment to do those battles in. So they're doing this weird like
that, but they were also super rushed. I don't know if you've read about that, but there was a CGI team that did the final fight on the train, and they had 6 weeks to do it, which is
a bit
very very little amount of time. They should have had like 4 months, 3 or 4 months.
Jeez.
And they had 6
just for the
weeks.
train. That's wild. That
No,
tells you
not
how
the
much-
train, the whole fight. So everything that was there, the background, because that was green screen or blue screen, I don't know.
Green.
And then the train, and then the 2 guys themselves.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, everything in those shots were CGI.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
except for their faces for the couple of shots where they were exposed. But that, you know, it was kind of bad sometimes. And then
The plot was a little bit strange. I mean, I like the plot, but like,
I think the plot in the second half was really good. Like once Killmonger comes back into it, I think from there on,
Killmonger, once you
pretty good.
understand what he is
yeah,
as a character and what his motives are and all the context, like once the context happens, you're like, oh shoot, it's on.
it becomes a much deeper story.
Right.
But the whole first like hour with the whole chasing down the vibranium and whatever, I didn't really care about that, honestly. I was watching it and it was like, I mean, you know, it's cool, but like I don't care.
It felt
And then-
it felt so Bondy.
yeah.
Right? For an
Well,
MCU
and-
movie, that was like so James Bond, and I was like, okay, guys, like it's cool. Don't get me wrong, it was cool, and it
Yeah.
made the story finish well and whatever. But it's like, guys, this ain't a spy movie. Don't act like it is.
Well, and I mean the thing, because yeah, you're exactly right. Because you know, it's Black Panther was all about or at least I thought it was all about Wakanda and you know, the culture and the rich history they have there. Because that is such a cool world. I've always really been a big fan of it from the comics and everything, and I just always
Oh, I
wanted to
loved
be-
it. I fell in love watching that movie. I
Yeah.
understand why people like Wakanda Forever because,
Oh,
like,
it's
oh
great.
my god, it's amazing. All the
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I always loved it. So when the Black Panther movie was announced, I was like, "Oh, that's gonna be awesome. We're gonna go to Wakanda and see all that." And it's like, well, first we're gonna go on a James Bond mission to South Korea. It's like, okay, but anyways,
And I think the beauty of watching Black Panther to me, still is, and I think this is something that Brandon talked about too, about what it was like watching that in the theater.
yeah,
It is the culture of it. It is African American culture. It's African culture, and it's giving it a really amazing platform. And that's why I was like, that's why I told my mom, like, hey, let's watch this movie because it's really culturally relevant. Like even if you've never watched an MCU movie before, I think if you want to pick an MCU movie that like matters culturally, of course, like Endgame, Infinity War, they matter culturally for their own reasons. But like in terms of actual culture and society, that movie does it better than any MCU movie. And
yeah.
the way in which they approach African culture, the guy who did the score, who won, I searched it up. He won best score. What is it, Ludwig or
something?
Yeah.
That
Anyway,
movie won like 3 or 4 Oscars, I think.
yes, and it's the only, I think, for a reason. It's the only real MC movie other than like whatever it is, like the CGI, the graphic design. Graphic design, every freaking Marvel movie gets graphic design nominations.
Yeah.
But it's the only movie that the Academy of the MCU respected. And when you watch
on
the
a
movie,
creative level.
Yeah. And when you watch the movie, you understand why. Not only through the points of the Academy, which are totally understood and not exactly proper, especially when it comes to MCU.
Yeah.
But like you understood why the Academy actually sat there and watched that movie. It was like, hey, this actually deserves recognition by our program.
Yeah. And I think, you know, and what I think is so interesting about that movie is that, because like you said, it's African American culture, but also African culture, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's so powerful and moving and really cool. Like it's something you can really be a part of or feel like you can all be a part of as a community too.
Right. And, you know, even though Wakanda is a made up place, it's, you know, we've never seen a movie of that scale in Africa where the characters are in this great position of power, you know, and they have all this wealth and resources. And
from the vibranium, but like in general as well, when you think about it in general.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and I'm white, and that was even refreshing for me to see. I was like, this is pretty cool, you know, and
that's why I said I think it was refreshing for the Academy,
right?
Because they sat there and we were like, oh, this is not your prototypical superhero movie that we all kind of blast on, because I think the Academy just doesn't really like these style of movies just in general.
No.
They don't appreciate it at all. And they sat there and like, you know what? This is not only a refreshing take on superhero movies, this is a really refreshing take on what it means to create a film, right? And build a film around African American and African culture. Like the ways in which they did it was so profoundly perfect that it's hard to imagine a movie getting close to that. And we'll see what happens in Black Panther 2, but still, like as you said, even as white Caucasian people, like for me watching it, I was like, this is refreshing, this is awesome, this is something that needs to be done more. And obviously it has, in the context of telling Black history, which is so important. But like that style of movie in that frame needs to be something that we need to see more of in just general film in Hollywood, and we're not seeing it.
Right. Well, and you're talking about like Black history, and I mean that's at the end of the day, I mean Black history is American history. I mean,
100%.
it's sad, a lot of it. I mean, let's be honest. Just the stuff that has happened the last 400 years or whatever it's been. But we still got to acknowledge it, and I think, and that's what I thought was really genius about T'Challa and Killmonger, having them as cousins, relatives, and kind of putting them against each other. Is one of them was African and the other was African American.
Yeah.
And
even though they're both Wakandan, like he was raised on an African American culture, his perspective is that the vibranium will help give those African American people some power over police and things like that. So it tackled those real issues that we still talk about today as well, which I think is important.
I mean, even though Killmonger's, Wakandan by blood, I mean, he was just an American kid raised in Oakland,
playing hoops
at the end of the day. Yeah. So, and I'm looking forward to the second one. It's obviously very sad that we won't have Chadwick Boseman with it, but it looks like Shuri, Letitia Wright. I think that's Shuri. Yeah. Is kind of taking over the mantle, which
should I think.
Yeah, it feels right to me. Keeping the family and whatnot. And I think that'll be even cooler, or I shouldn't say even cooler, but
it will be a very unique and powerful take still.
It'll further the conversation, because not only is it, a Black protagonist, but it's a woman, I mean, that's groundbreaking. And it's kind of sad that it's taken this long, but I mean, hey, better late than never, I guess.
So Chadwick Boseman, before we go.
Yeah.
So Chadwick Boseman, he did The Five Bloods, which I watched while I was in Sacramento. I actually loved the movie. The last movie he ever did was Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And I did talk about this movie because every time I'm going to try, as we get to Oscar season, to kind of go back and watch some of the interesting Oscar movies. And I did that this last year. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is kind of a perfect example of what we're talking about in terms of after the events of George Floyd and the stuff over the past couple of years, there has been an emphasis in movies to tell Black stories, to tell African American stories.
Oh yeah.
And that's where The Five Bloods comes in. But I think also more specifically Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom has an ending that I still can't get over even months later. I mean, it ended the same way in the play. But it's also like the structure of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is an interesting film in that you watch the film and you know basically that you're watching a play, which is something I didn't really like about the movie. But overall, I thought the ending, and I thought Chadwick Boseman shows like so much range in these last two movies they did, from the Black Panther stuff to The Five Bloods to Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. But it's like that emphasis in telling Black stories is so important and so valuable, and we're seeing that in movies now as we keep going forward into the 2020s. But like, you look at a movie like Marini's Black Bottom. Obviously, it's not a perfect example, but you look at Marini's Black Bottom versus Black Panther, and you're like, there's just something about the way Black Panther does it that it's going to be so hard to replicate in movies. I think that's kind of my point. It's just like when you look at Black Panther in the context of African American and African culture, it's just going to be hard to replicate that. Hollywood's going to have a tough time to really replicate that. And it's going to take people to replicate that. Like, the whole point of these early movies in the 2020s, like Marini's Black Bottom, is to tell these stories of like Black history through plays, through stories like the Vietnam War and stuff like that. But I want to get to a point where we're doing something like the Black Panther movie too, where it's really explaining on what makes the culture so unique and personable and important in society. And I don't know if we're going to get there yet until obviously the second Black Panther movie.
Yeah. And I mean, that was the thing with Black Panther was, the reason it was so popular and had so much hype is because it was, I mean, that's the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Like that is the highest grossing franchise probably ever. Most popular.
It is.
Yeah. So like, I mean, that's the biggest stage you can do that. And, obviously they were pretty successful with it. But I think, like you said, there have been a lot more stories of, films about Black stories and I mean, not even just like in the last year and a half since the passing of George Floyd, but like, even back to like 2014, 15, 16, kind of in there with movies like Hidden Figures and
yes, of course. I forgot about those. Hidden Figures was
Green
amazing.
Book.
I loved Hidden Figures. I loved Green Book as well. Green Book was a phenomenal story. I didn't watch Moonlight yet. I should.
That was pretty good. But I think like what's possibly even more significant that I'm noticing is that there are a lot less stories about Black people who, like, I guess Black Americans who are in a bad situation. Their dad left them and they're doing drugs and poor and all these stereotypes. And I mean, yeah, of course that's an issue and it's sad and it needs to be addressed. But in film, I mean, it's ultimately an outlet for us to escape to a different world. And I really like that we've seen a lot more movies recently of not stories of Black Americans struggling, but Black Americans in power or gaining power, or just real just feel good life stories.
The only movie I can think of that reminds me of that description, 2006, The Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh yeah,
it's probably the only. Obviously, it doesn't have a great Rotten Tomatoes rating, but like this is a true story, and it's like there's something about The Pursuit of Happiness. My mom always loved this movie, and she made me watch it a couple of years ago. It's like this movie is just. It's kind of what you're saying,
yeah.
But it's also like taking. I think the thing that film needs to do, and this is just like in general, and I think this is partially my problem. In some ways with oh my god, I keep forgetting the title of the movie. The movie with like your teacher or whatever that won an Academy Award.
Oh, Nomadland.
Yeah. I know, like it's telling those stories which are super important of like struggle and things like that. But like the action of that in a real society should be like the way we come to terms with that. And I think that's kind of the biggest problem with that.
Yeah.
But like Nomadland, I love the story. I loved it as a story. I didn't love it as a movie. And I think that was just what I was weirded out by, is I've never had a movie where I was like, the story is good. And I thought when they talk about life and death was really powerful, but it's like the story is good. But as a movie, I was like, this is not really a movie. This is just like a story. And it's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's visually breathtaking, and it's I mean, I'm also a little bit biased because of my professor, but
I don't think you can be biased with this movie because it is a good movie, or it
Yeah.
is a good story in a movie. That's kind of
Yeah,
how I
and
framed it.
right, and the story itself is good, but paced over a 2-hour movie, it's kind of like, but
Yeah.
anyways, but that's just I mean, if you're talking about like Marvel and these big action movies, I mean, yeah, we got Black Panther, which is good. That's a good starting point, obviously, but and then we also got to get more Asian representation, which we got Shang-Chi, which was great.
I can't wait to get to that movie. I'm so far away from that now, but I will get
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
That's just about to come out on Disney Plus in about 12 days. I'm so close to getting. I'm not close to getting there, but I will get there.
Oh yeah,
I will get
and
there.
and we don't really have Hispanic heroes yet.
We will
Um,
hopefully.
yeah, I mean, yeah, hopefully. We've been starting to see more Hispanic representation in other big properties like Star Wars, for instance, with like Pedro Pascal, Diego Luna, uh, you know, and so it's I think now we're becoming more aware of just how white Hollywood has been for so long, and
I think this is just a fact. I think we're just stating facts about Hollywood.
yeah, which and that doesn't mean that white actors shouldn't exist. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying here.
No.
But it's just
What we're saying is we need more diversity in movies. It
yeah.
affects our lives. It affects children's lives. It
Well, it's
affects
just it's more realistic,
it's more realistic, and the stories that we can tell from
or so much
every
richer.
every race, every ethnicity, every sexual
That
orientation, the stories that we can tell in all of these facets in film are so profound, and we're
even
starting to see it.
religion,
Yeah,
in some
all these
cases.
aspects. We can tell
Yeah.
so many powerful stories.
Ability too.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I mean, there's Me Before You and The Theory of Everything. That's kind of those are kind of like the only big movies in the last, several years that
I
really talk about that.
I also at the end to end this conversation, we'll talk about this as we get closer to April. We always have an Oscar segment. I challenge the Academy to also bring up these movies in their own way. I think that the Academy has some role. Now, obviously, I think this is a huge problem with the Academy. There's a reason why people didn't watch the Oscars. I had finals to do. Okay. I was going to watch it if I didn't have finals. But there's a reason why the Academy is looked so down upon by. I think you are not even that big a fan of the Academy either. No.
No,
And
I haven't liked them for like probably 5-6 years now.
what are your reasons for that?
I think they just I think with the Academy they look for it's not even necessarily like a race problem. It's just or diversity
Political
problem.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more for me the fact that it's like they go for films that have the best message, like Nomadland or Parasite. They have like the biggest statement, but not necessarily the movie that is just the best quality film, you know?
And that can have
Or
so much value in story too. And they seem to forget
right.
that.
I mean, if we're talking about like Infinity War and Black Panther, for instance. Black Panther was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, and Infinity War was not. Now, just as a movie itself, I think Infinity War is better. However, Black Panther, I think, was a lot more, at least culturally, was a lot more significant, obviously.
In its
And
own way. We're talking about in this perspective.
right. Or more important, I think, is the right word.
Yeah.
And so therefore, the Academy, I think they like that idea of its importance, which which is fine. I mean, it's, if that's what you're all about, then great.
But that's
Um,
that's the problem. The Academy is not supposed to necessarily highlight that. The problem, the
Right.
Academy is supposed to highlight film. When I
Right.
look up the
What's the
Oscars,
good actual movie?
right? When I look up the Oscars nominations, I'm like, this is why I want to watch this movie. It's on the Oscars list, and then I watch it. I'm like, this is a good film. I get why it's so highly rated,
Yeah.
but it's not. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And there's so many that don't make the cut, like 40-year-old version, which is like a rap. It's a film about like rapping, and it didn't even get a nomination. And I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast, and they were talking about that movie, and I watched it, and I was like, wow. There's just so many movies kind of like that. I mean, that's still had a very powerful message in its own way, but I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like there's just so many movies and avenues the Academy seems to miss that for someone like me who's kind of trying to get into movies slowly but surely, I want to know what I want to watch. I want to know what the Academy is looking at, and it should matter for the entire industry, and it just doesn't.
I'll tell you what they like. Drama, biopics,
Documentaries, I
well,
guess.
yeah, but
Its own
for,
category.
like, best picture. That's kind of it, honestly. Like the movies that are really popular, because like my favorite kind of movies are like action, comedy, not necessarily action comedies, but separate.
I don't like
adventure.
horror movies, but other than that, like kind of go for anything
Yeah.
else now because I'm just trying to
Yeah.
develop my movie taste now. But
But they hate those movies. Like the Academy hates action and comedy and like romance movies, which, I mean, I get it, but because they're not, they're not these deep stories but it's like, if it's a better quality movie than that deep drama, it's like, then why aren't you giving it a nod?
and look, we are not saying that like every freaking Marvel movie that grosses $1 billion should win Best Picture.
No,
that's
no.
not that's
No.
not what we're trying to say. What we're
Or
trying
even
to
be
say,
nominated.
no, what we're trying to say is that the Academy needs to. Best Picture is supposed to be the best film from that year. If you want to encapsulate the year, it is that film.
Yeah.
And that's not what the Academy is doing with Best Picture.
No, it's what film has the best statement.
But it's not the best movie.
But it's not the best movie necessarily.
It's not saying that those movies aren't great in their own right. Like when Green Book won and I watched Green Book, I was like, that's a great movie. But it's not Best Picture. It's not. It shouldn't always be.
It wasn't even in my top 10 of that year, Green Book.
Really?
No. Like, I still, great movie, but.
Oh, I watched it. It was great. I loved it.
But like the other nominees, Vice, Star is Born, oh God, I'm blanking.
They're just all,
I liked all those. Infinity War, Mission Impossible, Fallout. I liked all those movies more than Green Book. I mean, those are all obviously, those two are very quite different from Green Book, but still.
Yeah, it's just Is there anything else for you with the Academy? Like, is there anything specific?
No, I don't think so.
Do the award show better. Holy crap, do it better. Holy smokes. Do we seriously think we don't need a host? Are you guys kidding me? Are you guys kidding me?
I do agree with most of their nominees and winners, though. I just don't always agree with Best Picture, personally.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what the nominees
whatever.
are this year. We have a few months to go.
Yeah.
Once we have the nominees, we'll probably, at least I will try to find the one. Like I couldn't watch, like, for example, oh my God, the movie that Brandon always talks about with you. Why am I blanking on these movies? It's so late at night. But anyway, there are certain movies from the Academy that I cannot watch. I just don't have the stamina for. Like, Tonya was tough for me to watch. That was tough. Excuse my language. That was tough. I mean, that was a tough movie.
I like how you censor yourself swearing.
Yeah, I said I'm sorry, but hey, I mean, look, Tonya was tough, but like, I'm just saying, like, there are certain things that I can't watch from the Academy. Oh my God, amazing! But The thing, but I will try to watch as much as I can, at least in the best picture category this year. And I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think we'll have to see. Once the nomination list comes out, we'll have a more deeper conversation about the Academy. And we do every April on this podcast because I always get into the Academy awards and everything else. But
I feel like we're becoming a movie podcast now.
well, I think we're just trying to do both. We're trying to diversify. We'll do some
Yeah.
TV show stuff eventually, but to be honest, TV shows are kind of rough now.
Hmm.
To be fair, they really are.
The cable ones, streaming services, where it's at.
True, I agree with that.
But that's a whole nother topic.
We should have next pod. We should have an entire discussion about streaming services. I want to have
the
a
rabbit hole that is streaming services.
yeah. I have to have an honest conversation about what the heck we're doing with streaming services.
Yeah,
Because-
it's driving me crazy.
We will get let's put a bookmark in that. Let's get to that next week.
Yeah.
And talk about that. But thank you, Shane. Super excited to do a Halloween show for the first time. This is the first time doing a show on Halloween. We'll see you all back next Sunday for the week 9 action. We're getting closer to Thanksgiving. Holy
Woo!
crap. It actually is closer than
My
it seems
favorite
when you come
holiday.
out of NFL. Yo, and Black Friday too. I'm hyped. I'm hyped.
That's
to wake up
right.
at 5 in the morning.
You're a
So.
big Black Friday guy, aren't you?
Yes.
Nothing
$20
wrong with that.
$20 Roku and a bunch of Fire TV sticks or whatever, and then $7 Avengers Endgame.
Roku's great, man.
Not when they're gonna lose a bunch of their services,
Well, yeah, that's true.
but yeah. Anyway, have a great night, everyone. We will see you all next Sunday. I'll be back on Monday on our platform. Sorry, damn it, my freaking relevant. God, this is what happens to me at 11 o'clock at night. I'll be back on Relevant tomorrow on Monday night. Thursday night, I'll be back talking about some of the trashiest games on our Monday and Thursday night schedules on Relevant. Those games, I cannot believe how bad
yikes.
those games are. I cannot wait to cover some trash heaps, and then we'll get to Sunday. So see you all then. See you all Monday, Thursday on Relevant, and on Sunday here. So see you then. Obviously, you can catch this podcast on the NFL Fanatics 5. I post it every Monday as well. So thank you to all those who are listening there, as well as everywhere else you get your YouTube streams. We'll see you all next Sunday.
See ya.